For me, I come from a point where I would get paid on the 15th my salary from work. And before the end of that day, like actually by midnight, my bank account is empty because debit orders have emptied my account.
They've done their thing.
Yes. So I come from that situation. And I still remember how the 15th used to be the most stressful time of the month for me because that's when money comes into my account, but then that's when it leaves.
Hi everyone, this is The Working Wife, The Working Woman podcast, and I'm your host, Promise Makunyane. This podcast is about women working really. I'm sitting with different women, different industries, whether you are in corporate, you're an entrepreneur, you're a side hustler, you're an admin lady, whatever that you are, I believe everyone has got a story to tell. And if you do believe that you've got a story to tell, please come and sit with me and inspire other women. I always say that it's good to have a man do stuff for you, but it's even much more better if you can do stuff for yourself. So this is the gist of this podcast. We are just inspiring each other as women. And we do have a sister podcast called O Narrative Podcast. It airs every Wednesday at 1 p.m. That particular podcast is about marriage and family dynamics, and it's on the very same channel that you're watching this. And this particular one, it airs every Sundays at 6 p.m. So do make sure that you tune in on those 2 dates. Anyway, guys, today I am sitting with a lovely lady, very gorgeous. Very gorgeous lady that did the makeup in the studio. She didn't want to come on camera without any makeup. And you look beautiful.
Thank you.
Khumo is your name. Mm-hmm. Do you want to introduce yourself first, and then we'll go into the icebreakers?
Okay. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Khumo ON, and I am a mom of 2, a retired scientist now running a business full-time.
Nice. We'll get into that when we start the conversation. Now we'll go into the icebreakers. I saw someone saying that I shouldn't say that I'm going into the icebreakers. Guys, there's no way that I'm not going to say that I'm going into the icebreakers. So we're going into the icebreakers now. First one for you, Khumo. Mm-hmm. If you had to teach a class on one thing, what would it be?
If I had to teach a class on one thing, it would be on authenticity, because I believe that a lot of people are trying so hard to compare themselves with other people because they believe that if they do what others are doing, it's the only way for them to actually be known and be noticed. But I think authenticity sells best, you know?
Yeah.
So we just have to learn how to accept ourselves and actually learn to tell our stories best and be authentic. And that is how we will even draw our tribe towards us and connect with people that actually are inspired or want to be associated with us, you know? So I would say authenticity, it's something we lose a lot as people.
Nice. And that's what makes you different to anyone else. Yeah. Second one, are you a night or a day person, and why?
I'd say I'm a day person. So I perform best during the day.
Yeah.
I'd say up until maybe 6 p.m. or so. Yeah.
Okay. What time do you sleep?
Because I'm still a new mom. Well, not a new mom, but a mom to a newborn.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of night
that
shifts.
You've been a mom before that.
I've been a mom before that.
Yeah. Okay. So if you would eliminate one thing about your day, what would it be?
If I would eliminate one thing about my day, what would it be? That's a tough one. Sure. What would it be?
Do you love waking up? Do you love, I don't know.
I do love waking up. I'm just not a morning person.
Yeah.
But also maybe because I do night shifts, you know, with the baby.
With the baby.
Yeah. I'd suppose if I were to eliminate something about my day, it would be the early mornings.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a quote that you live by, or a quote that you love?
A quote that I love is, I can, I must, and I will.
Oh, I can, I must, and I will. Love that. Lastly, best advice you ever received.
The best advice I've ever received is do not be too quick to quit, and if you start something and you don't finish it, you'll never finish anything in life. That is what my sister told me.
Yeah.
When I was in varsity, halfway through my course that I was doing, and I wanted to change courses because I felt like I didn't really belong and I didn't want to do it. I was unhappy. But she said to me, you know what, Khumo, if you start something and you don't finish it, you'll never finish anything in life. I didn't want to be known as that person. So I made sure I finished that course. And I've always committed to anything that I start, and I make sure I finish what I start.
I love that. I love that. You've introduced yourself as a retired scientist. How old are you? Why did you retire? Because of age or what? Why did you retire?
I'm actually turning 38 on Sunday.
On Sunday. Are you planning to celebrate your birthday?
I'll be in Botswana working.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The working woman. Yeah.
I'll be in Botswana working. I'll probably celebrate afterwards. Yeah, so I retired when I was 29, about to turn 30.
Sure.
It was not part of the plan.
Yeah.
Initially, I just started a side hustle to supplement my income as a scientist.
Yeah.
But a year after starting that side hustle, it actually turned into my full-time business. So I thought, you know what, let me focus on it full-time. And yeah, that's how my retirement came by.
So before we go into your career and now your business, let's speak about your upbringing. Tell me about a moment that stands out for you about your upbringing or your background as a child.
Okay, the one thing that stands out for me was, I still remember how, so I'm the last born at home.
Okay.
And
38 last born.
Yeah.
How old are your parents?
70 this year.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They're 70 this year. And I still remember how growing up, I always wanted to go to like a semi-private school.
Yeah.
And my parents couldn't afford to take me there. Then when my sister, the firstborn, when she got her first internship, before she got full-time employed, she actually took me to the school I've always wanted to go to. And that was when I was going to grade 7. So yeah, she paid for my fees out of her internship income.
Oh my
God.
God.
That for me has always stood out because even when I got to that school, the kids there were, getting whatever they want, and my parents couldn't afford, but she made sure that I never felt out of place. And that for me really stood out.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you've been your sister's first child, or she had children already?
She doesn't have kids. I'd say she's been a semi-parent to all three of us, all three of her siblings. Yeah, she's the firstborn. Yeah.
Deputy mom.
And she helped us all kickstart in life, Yeah, so she's really been amazing.
Yeah. So tell me about your parents, your upbringing. What type of family are you coming from? Obviously, you've told us about the type of school you went to, and then after school varsity, taking us into your career.
Okay, so my parents, my mom doesn't have matric.
Yeah.
My dad was a banker. But they made sure that we get the education that we needed in life to kickstart. My mom used to sell cool drinks, sweets, just for us to have pocket money.
Yeah.
While my dad was working as a banker, and he then sort of helped her start a business, into the taxi industry.
Taxi.
Yeah. So my mom had a taxi that, my dad got for her, and that is how we were brought up. And I then finished my matric and I went to varsity. I studied at TUT, my undergrad and my BTech degree. And then I did my postgrad at Northwest University in Porch.
What did you study?
So my undergrad was in agricultural science.
Yeah.
And then my postgrad was in environmental science, majoring in entomology. Entomology is the study of insects.
What inspired you to study that? What inspired you to study all that?
So I wanted to do anything that was related to the science industry because my sister is a medical scientist herself. So she was like, no, even in school, I was told while working my way up that, no, you need to do the science so that you can stand a better chance of getting into varsity and later being employable. Personally, I wanted to study fashion design.
Yeah.
But she discouraged that idea. She called it a hobby, and she said, no, you'll entertain that at a later stage once you have a stable job, So I studied that, and initially I thought I'd do geology. But I wasn't really sure, and I ended up in the agricultural science. And I also worked for an agricultural company doing research. Yeah. So it wasn't really who Khumo was. I wasn't actually happy, but I'd say career-wise, I really was inspired by people that I was working with.
Yeah. I would assume that when you're a scientist, you're earning a lot of money. I wouldn't assume that you'll just retire at 29 or be searching for a side hustle to supplement your salary. Were you not earning enough, or there's just not enough?
Okay, first of all, the reason why I was furthering my studies was with hope that I'll get a better paying job or even a promotion, but none of those things happened. Just to be transparent, my take home after all the deductions was 12,500 rands.
A scientist.
I was working as a research technician at an agricultural research company.
Do you perhaps know what your seniors were getting maybe?
I had a colleague of mine who was also a very good friend of mine. He had a PhD.
Yeah.
And his take home was about 25,000 rands.
Oh,
with a PhD as a junior researcher at that time.
With a PhD?
With a PhD.
25. So,
and by the way, that 25,000 was my dream salary then.
When were you going to get there?
Yeah, it would have probably taken me plus minus 10 years to get there, because me furthering my studies, I was doing it part-time because I was full-time employed. So it was just taking me long to accumulate my postgrad qualifications because I had a full-time job. I was blessed enough to work for a company that was paying for my postgrad studies.
Okay.
Yeah. So at least my salary wasn't going towards my studies, but it was still not a good enough income.
So as you're working, what inspires you to say that I need a side hustle or I need to start a business?
So I saw how that 25,000 that I wanted from my career would have taken me longer. And at that time, I wasn't staying with my firstborn. At the time, I only had one child. I wasn't staying with him. So after my marriage failed, I took him to go and live with my parents because the cost of living was just too much, And I still remember when he was staying with them, I could not even afford to send money home to say, here's money for bread or here's money for whatever that he might need. I just could not afford, He went to stay with them when he was a year old.
Yeah.
And my mom was like full-time hands-on. I couldn't even afford a nanny to help my mother. So my mom would do night shifts. And it was just too much. So I thought I need to do something about my finances because my child is growing up. And yes, I'm furthering my studies, but I'm not getting that promotion I want. I'm not getting that salary increase that I need, and I just wanted to change my situation before my child starts school. And another thing that pushed me to start a side hustle was that after I separated with my husband, I didn't have a place to stay. So I moved out of our house and a friend of mine took me in. But where we were staying with her, it was far from where I was working. And at that time, I was really struggling. So even getting to work was a problem.
Yeah.
So my sister then said to me, I'm actually looking for a property to invest in. So find something close to your workplace and I'll buy it. Then you can stay there for free, get back on your feet. And the following year, you can start paying rent. This was in 2015 now when she said I can do that. And I moved actually it was in 2014 when she said I can start looking for a place close to my workplace. I moved in January 2015.
Yeah.
And December 2015 came, I still couldn't afford to pay rent. And I thought, what am I going to do now? You know, I had literally hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
So I needed to change my situation. And another thing that made me start a side hustle was the fact that I was tired of cutting costs and my situation was still not changing. In actual fact, I had gotten to a point where I had nothing to cut anymore. You know, when you've cut costs and there's nothing to cut anymore, but you're still struggling. I was at that point. So I thought, what else can I do?
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So I really had to increase my income rather than cut the costs.
You mentioned that you got to that point of your life after you were married and you divorced. So how long were you married for?
A year.
A year. You know, I know a bit of her story, but it still makes me like, Khumo, a year.
A year. So we met, and before we were even a year into a relationship, I think a few months, we were pregnant.
Yeah.
Before the baby was born, the lobola was paid. And and that is because personally I didn't want kids out of wedlock.
Yeah.
So
why is
maybe
that?
he felt pressured to marry because I didn't want kids out of wedlock. Because I grew up in a proper stable home where there were both parents and they were married. So personally, I did not want that for myself. I didn't want to have children out of wedlock.
I hear that. So then you went out of the marriage and then you had to now start. So when you were in the marriage, you were okay financially because you guys were sharing bills.
I wouldn't really say I was okay. I was still struggling.
Yeah.
I was still struggling. And I think that is how I got into debt because now I thought, okay, my husband is paying for the bond. You know, before we were together, he was used to staying alone. He didn't have all these extra heads to cater for. So because now I was already struggling, I then got into debt, trying to sustain us as a family so that he doesn't feel the pressure, you know. So before I knew it, the marriage was ending and the money that I was using to sustain the family went to things that I could not really pinpoint, like perishables, like things like food, all those things, you know, while he was securing a roof over our head.
In his name.
In his name.
Yeah. So when you guys broke up, you never like went to say we are customarily married and then we are in community of property. Therefore, this is also my house and you just moved out.
I just moved out. In actual fact, I still remember I moved out on our son's first birthday.
No.
Yeah. And for a long time, my son's birthday came with not so good memories, you know. I still remember very well that when I had to go and fetch my stuff at the house, I still remember getting there, the garage doors were opened, my clothes, everything was just there, and our bedroom was locked. Literally had taken out everything and just packed everything for me, and he said, I want you out. But I must admit, I did see that it's not working out long before he asked me to move. It's just that I was holding on with hope that things will get better.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Women do.
Until he thought, this person is not leaving. Let me just tell her to go. And that's exactly what happened. When I tell people my story, they ask, but what did you do?
I'm like, to a point that you are kicking me out. Like,
I didn't do anything. It just happened that one day when I was coming back from my parents' house on a weekend, so I knew that every last weekend of the month, he would, when the nanny goes away for her weekend off, I would also get asked to take the baby and also go because he would want his own space. Yeah. So just one day when I was driving back from home, when we got to the house with the baby, he just said to me, I want to rent out the house, so I need you to move out.
Prior to you going on Friday, there was no conversation that on Sunday when you come back, things might be like this.
There was no conversation that things might be like this. However, there were signs that I'm not really wanted here anymore. It's just that I overlooked them.
In hindsight now, looking where you are now as this powerhouse, looking to that moment in your life, what do you think was the problem, or what do you think was the problem?
I'd say finances probably played a role. Maybe he was also overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And we were still young. I was 27, he was 33. But nowadays, young people, people at that age do get married and their marriages do become successful.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe he was just not fully prepared. And I think what he wanted at that time was not really marriage, but he wanted a child. It's just that the child was coming with a condition. So I think when the child was here and he realized, no, actually, I can't be in this. So yeah. But I'd say also finances, because we used to fight a lot about finances. I still remember there was a time that the helper blocked the sink, the drain in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And he was causing a scene like, yeah, this is my house, like, okay.
In front of the lady, I'm like,
Yeah. So I think he was also overwhelmed.
He just didn't know how to act.
He just didn't know how to act.
Yeah. But as much as I'm like surprised that you lasted a year, I'm also applauding you, because some would stay more than that, which is you're just delaying yourself and your healing progress, Anyway.
Look, I would have stayed, but it's just that he asked me to leave.
I'm sure. Like
I really did hold on.
Yeah.
And I didn't also know how to break the news to my family.
Yeah.
My sister's the one that noticed, and she said, Khumo, you are, always bubbly, and you like posting about your family, but you haven't posted in a long time. What's going on? You are now becoming reserved. Is everything okay? And I just broke down and I told her that, listen, this is what this person said to me. I still remember at that time I was busy with I was doing my BTech studies. So I was busy with my exams, and I asked him, okay, since you've asked me to leave, can I at least finish my exams and then I'll go? At that time I had already taken my son home to my parents so that he can get used to being there. So yeah, on my son's birthday, he just said, I want you out. That was even before my exams ended.
Yeah. Anyway, so that passes, and then that's where now you start seeing that you need to cover your debts that you have accumulated in the marriage, and then now take care of your child single-handedly. That's where your side hustle starts.
That's where my side hustle starts.
How did it start?
I just saw a total stranger on Facebook that was talking about empowering women, helping them make an extra income around their careers. And she spoke to me because that's what I wanted, an extra income around my career. At that time, I didn't know what to do, what to start, because for me, I come from a point where I would get paid on the 15th my salary from work, and before the end of that day, actually by midnight, my bank account is empty because debit orders have emptied my account.
They've done their thing.
Yes, so I come from that situation, and I still remember how the 15th used to be the most stressful time of the month for me, because that's when money comes into my account, but then that's when it leaves, immediately. And I would think, is this how my life has turned out? Growing up, I was taught, if you want to be successful, go to school, study hard, get a job. And I'm doing all of that. I'm even furthering my studies, but my finances are still not changing. So I had really hit rock bottom. And when I saw her post on Facebook, I thought, let me contact her so that she can tell me how she can help me. And that's where it all started.
So what business is that? Is that What is it?
So it's a network marketing business. For me, it was a totally different industry, something I've never done before. When you talk of network marketing, there's sales involved. The selling, for me, I had never sold anything in my life. I didn't even think I can sell. I didn't even have the self-confidence. When my marriage ended, even my self-esteem just got affected so much, At that time, I had also withdrawn from social media. I was just so reserved. So I didn't think that I'd be able to do it. But I just said, my financial situation is not allowing me to turn it down.
Yeah.
So let me just have a coachable spirit and learn from this lady. Then I'll take it from there.
Prior to you meeting this lady, and I want to speak on the subject of how we view network marketing. Prior to you meeting this lady, did you know about network marketing the way we know about it? Like, if you'd meet me, what year was it? How many years ago?
This was in 2016, 8 years ago when I started.
If you'd meet me 8 years ago and tell me about network marketing, there's no way I'm going there. Because all this network marketing came as it's a scam, it's a pyramid, it's what really made you to just say, especially as a scientist, that this thing can work and I'm just going to give it a try?
Okay, so personally for me, I didn't know anything about network marketing prior I was introduced to this.
Cool.
So I knew there were pyramid schemes, I knew there were Ponzi schemes, and there were setups that people were calling push, but I was never involved in any of those things.
Yeah.
So for me, I did my homework, and I realized that the company that I was about to partner with had been in existence for a very long time.
Okay.
And I thought, okay. And I also looked at what I would be marketing, and is it something that is marketable? Is it something that is genuine? Is it something that is an essential to people?
Yeah.
I looked at all those things and they were just ticking my boxes. And I thought, okay, this has been in existence for a long time.
Yeah.
What I'm going to be marketing is also marketable. And I thought, okay, why not? Yeah.
And after the presentation, was it face-to-face or online?
It was a face-to-face.
Yeah. After the presentation, what is your next step? Do you buy the stock or do you...
So after the presentation, I still remember I got into that meeting and I saw their products there and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to sell.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think what motivated me to start with the testimonials that I heard on the day, they literally gave me hope, And when I left there, they told me, you start by purchasing your starter combo. And I thought, I don't have money. Where am I going to get money to buy this?
How much is the starter combo?
At that time when I started, I remember my combo was around 6,000 at that time.
And you don't have?
I don't have it. My salary is 12,500. I get paid on the 15th. By the end of the day, my bank account is empty, So I then went back to my sister and I said to her, I'd like to start this business, because I want to now start paying rent.
Yeah.
My 12 months has ended. You gave me 12 months and now I want to start paying rent. So maybe you can help me start this.
Yeah.
And I can be able to pay you rent.
Yeah.
So she gave me money to buy my stock to start up, and that's how I started.
How was business? Who was your first customer? Who did you sell to?
I still remember when my stock got delivered, I thought, oh my goodness, Khumo, what did you get yourself into? And I was talking to everybody around me and they were not interested. And they were saying, why are you doing this? You're a scientist, you've got a bright future. What do you want to sell? My parents said, Khumo, we took you to school. So why don't you focus on that? I was given so many reasons why this is not going to work. I was told that so-and-so started it and they failed. I was given so many reasons why I shouldn't do it. But I chose to block my ears to all that negativity. And I started I looked at what other people that are in the same industry are doing for their businesses to be a success.
Yeah.
And I saw that, okay, these people are using social media. They're connecting with total strangers. And I then also saw that it's the strangers that will actually support your business. So I started connecting with strangers. My first stock was actually bought by my immediate family.
Yeah.
And not that they believed in the products, but they were just supporting me, I guess, you know. But now 8 years later, they still consume the products and they love them.
Yeah. Do you think in the network marketing, money is in selling the products? Like a person will make money in selling the products or recruiting people?
Okay, so a lot of people, when you start talking about recruitment, they start thinking, you want me to come in and push people, and it's not even like that. You know, a real network marketing business, your income is effort based, and you can actually out earn whoever has brought you into that business if you're working harder than them. So the reason why you are introducing people, recruiting people into the business, it is so that together you can sell more products. So you're actually doing it to duplicate yourself. If I'm able to sell, let's say 50 products by myself, and then I introduce you into the business and I teach you how to sell 50 products as well, it means now together
100.
In our organization, it's no longer 50, but it's now 100. You know, so it's just so that together you can sell more products, and the more products we sell, the more money we get to make. So that's the reason of introducing people, so that you can sell more. So you actually make money through sales and also through introducing people.
So if I buy a starter pack or whatever products, maybe let's say it costs 6,000. What commission is there? Do I make commission? So you do make, because I'm not sure how other network marketing, but I'll tell you briefly with what I do. Yeah. So you get your products at a discount price. When you resell them, your money comes back with profit. So you're not losing anything. Okay, cool. So now your first sale, your first salary, how much is it and how does it make you feel?
Is this back in 2016?
Back when you were starting, yes.
Okay. So we call them bonuses, right? It's not a salary, it's not fixed, because it's effort based.
Okay.
I still remember, apart from the profit that I was making from selling my products, I still remember my bonus, my first bonus at that time was around 400 rands. Yeah. This was a referral bonus for introducing someone. It was 400 rands. And at that time, my problems needed money.
That's I'm laughing. I'm sure you were like,
yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. But at the same time, the fact that I got that 400 made me believe that, you know what? Actually, if I do more, I can get more. You know? Yeah.
Or they actually pay, because I think the first thing you'll think is that these ones, they won't pay when it's time to pay me.
Yeah. So the 400 made me believe that, actually, they do pay.
Yeah. And then you continued.
And I continued. The month after I got the 400, I still remember the following month I got 1,800. The month after that, it increased to 6,700. The month after that, it went up to 19,900, which was now more than my salary at work. And the month after that, 19,900, it was 40,000 rands, you know?
Sure.
And the last time I had 40,000 in my account was when I borrowed it from the bank as a loan, you know?
In the marriage.
In the marriage.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I think the more efforts I put in, the more I saw my income growing, and that for me made me want to work even harder.
Yeah. Now, as you are seeing that I'm making money, how are you now changing your life? Like the problems that you had, which is debts, your sister's place to pay rent, and your kid. How are you now paying your debts and rearranging your life?
Okay, so when I started the business, I thought, you know, once I start making a good income, I'm going to start clearing off my debts, because that is what is currently giving me sleepless nights. I still remember I was applying for better paying jobs, but I was still not, you know, whenever one would get calls, I wouldn't pick up those calls because I thought, what if it's debt collectors? But at the same time, I might be
looking for a
missing out,
job.
on a job opportunity because I'm worried that maybe it's debt collectors asking me to pay and I don't have
Yeah.
money to pay. So, the quickest way to really start sleeping well at night is to get rid of debts.
100%.
So when I started making this extra income, I started paying off my debts. And by the end of 2016, I had literally paid up everything.
Oh my God.
And I was now also able to start paying rent. At that time when I started the business, my son was 3. So I told myself that when he turns 5, I need to would have built a solid business so that I can take him to come and stay with me. At that time, this was just a side hustle. I didn't think that I would actually leave my science career for it.
Yeah. When do you get to a point where you leave your science career for it? How much are you making? What is going on in your head?
Okay, so when I left, actually, the plan was not really to leave.
Yeah.
I still remember my sister and I were in Dubai that month, and I saw my proof of income from the business for that month. And in actual fact, when I left my science career, I was making more than 6 times my salary in 1 month.
Yeah.
But I still stayed.
You still stayed.
The reason why I left was because things were not really now going well at work.
Yeah. Toxic.
Yeah.
Work environment.
And then my boss had taken me to a hearing to say I'm doing a business outside my job.
Work.
I still remember when I went to that hearing, the HR didn't even
Understand.
come because they said, no, this person declared what she's doing over a year ago.
Yeah.
And with all the appraisals that we've been doing, you've been scoring her well.
Yeah.
So she's never gotten a warning before for underperforming. So this is the first warning that she's getting. So maybe sort it out in-house before you involve us as the HR. But it had nothing to do with me underperforming. It's just only at that point that my boss realized that I'm doing something on the side that is really, really paying me more.
Do you think he was jealous or she was jealous?
I don't know, but I don't know. But he took me to a hearing and he said I'm underperforming. And the strange thing is, I think 2 weeks prior that we had done appraisals and he gave me really good scores.
Oh my God.
So how am I now suddenly underperforming? Yeah.
And then you decide now to say...
So I thought, you know what? I think this is the end of the road for me. And also at that time, because before the hearing, we were working closely together because he was going to retire soon. So I personally believed that maybe I'll succeed him. But now when we started having these problems, I thought, you know what, maybe I've reached the end of the road here. So let me leave. So the reason why I left was not because I was making more from the business, but it was because now there were problems at work with my boss. Yeah. But maybe at some point, honestly, I would have left.
You would have left.
I would have left. But when I left at that time, it was unplanned. So I still remember I was in Dubai and I contacted the HR then and I asked them that I want to leave ASAP. What's the best thing that I can do? We say I didn't want to burn my bridges, but at the same time I didn't want to go back. So he said to me, no, you've got a lot of leave days, so while you are in Dubai, you can just submit your resignation and serve notice while you are on holiday.
Okay.
Yes, on leave. And then when you come back, you'll just have maybe like a week of work and then that's it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started serving my notice while I was on leave.
Oh wow! And were you not nervous? What did your sister say because you were with your sister?
Actually, my sister's the one that encouraged it.
Yeah.
She's the one that encouraged it, and she said, "You know what? You've got my full support. Let's do this."
Yeah. Were you guys just on holiday, or it was work related?
It was work. It was work related. Yeah.
So now you leave your work. When do you now?
Not work related, but business related.
Business related,
yes.
I meant to say. So you had your sister as your plus one, or she's also part of the business now?
She was part of the business.
Yeah.
She's not part of the business anymore.
Okay. So you recruited her into the business.
Actually, she recruited herself when she saw my income.
I'm sure.
She recruited herself when she saw my income.
Yeah.
But also, I think she got into it more like to support me. And then later, she's like, actually, I like my career better.
Yeah.
So she then decided to focus on climbing up the corporate ladder.
Love that. So now, when do you now get your son now? You've cleared your debts. You have now
Started
you're
paying
now paying rent.
rent.
When do you now take your son?
So when my son started school, when he was starting stage 5, so stage 5 is more, it's a grade before grade
Double
1.
knot. Yeah.
Yeah.
R or double knot.
No. It's a grade before grade 1. I think it's grade R.
Okay, grade R.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at my son's school is called stage 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So when he started stage 5, that's when I took him.
Yeah.
He was 5 years old, about to turn 6. And I'm grateful that when he started school, I was already a stay-at-home mom.
I love that.
I was already a stay-at-home mom. So I've literally been there from day one.
So how do you now search for schools? You are a single mom. How do you now search your schools versus your salary or versus your income? Do you now go like up market, or you were like, let me just play it safe because I don't know what's going to happen to my business?
At that time, I was certain about what I was doing.
Yeah.
I had savings. It felt really good. For the first time to have savings, it felt really good. So when I looked for my son's school, I've got a very smart boy. I didn't want to compromise on his education.
Yeah.
And when I looked for the school, I wanted something that I was going to be happy with. At that time when I chose this school, I did not even know that it's on the list of the top 10 most expensive day schools in South Africa. I didn't know.
Oh my God.
I only saw that when he was 3 years in the school already, someone posted on Facebook the list, of the day schools. And when I looked at the list, it was actually there. Yeah.
And you were doing that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh wow, okay. So for me, the school selection had nothing to do with money.
Okay.
But everything to do with what is gonna make me happy as a mom and what I know will fulfill what I want to achieve for my son.
For your child. I love that. So now, how many years later? 7 years later, 8 years later, where are you now? Business-wise.
Okay, so I started the business 8 years ago. So it's 8 years later.
Yeah.
A year into starting the business, I left my job. So I've been my own boss for the past 7 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. And I now have a second born.
How old is your second born?
My second born is 8 months. He just turned 8 months.
With your firstborn, after the divorce, how was the co-parenting?
So things got better with time. I think in the beginning, we were fighting. I think also because I was bitter, I'd say. There was a point where he would even, he tried threatening me with lawyers. And then...
Because
because I was angry.
Yeah.
I was really angry and I felt betrayed, and my dad accompanied me to the children's court. I couldn't afford lawyers at that time.
Yeah.
So he accompanied me to the children's
Maintenance
court to try and find out, not to maintenance court, to children's court to try and find out what my rights are as a mom, And they told me that no, he won't take, the mother gets first preference unless the mom is a danger to the child, So that sort of gave me assurance. And that is because I was angry. I thought you want my child to go and now be exposed to women and all these things, So I didn't give him a chance, with the child.
Yeah.
Until I then later decided that it's best for my child that we co-parent.
Yeah. After how long? And I'm glad that you are speaking about it that way, because there are a lot of dads that are not given access to their children. And I'm glad that you're taking accountability, that I did not do that because I was better. But now I am at this point, After how long did you get to a point, and what got you to that point of saying we can co-parent, we can actually make it work for the child?
Look, after the marriage ended, I think a year after that, we did try to go counseling.
Yeah.
For counseling as a couple.
Oh, as a couple.
As a couple.
Okay, trying to mend the marriage.
Okay. It was his idea. But it still didn't work, And then at that time, we were trying to co-parent, so there would be a lot of friction and back and forth, but we were trying. And then we started spending birthdays together, Christmas days together as the three of us, even though we were not an item. But it's always, and then it started becoming now a norm that on Christmas, at that time my son was staying with my parents. We would then decide, okay, maybe let's see how we spend Christmas together. And I realized how my son would always, whenever he's with his cousins, he'd always say, my dad, my dad, my dad, and then I thought he's happy having both parents. Yeah. So,
just decided to
decided, yeah. And the other day, actually a few days ago, I asked, because we were just talking, and I asked him that, would he have loved for me and his dad to still be together? And he said to me, actually, I like the current system, it's working. And I think because when we were having the conversation, he was actually telling me about one of his friends that the parents are having adult problems. And he's like, I don't remember you and my dad having adult problems. And that for me, again, was a sign to say maybe the separation was for the good of his upbringing, because at least now he's not exposed to childhood traumas. He doesn't remember his parents fighting because he was young. And in actual fact, my son doesn't know how it feels like to be raised by both parents. So he doesn't know that system. That is why he doesn't feel inconvenienced with what is currently happening right now, because
that's all he knows.
It's all he knows, and it's working. And he's saying, at least my parents are not having adult problems like my friends are telling me about their parents.
How old is your son, your first son?
He's 11 now. He just turned 11 in October.
The second one is also a son.
I've got 2 boys.
So 11 years later, you've got your second child. Pregnancy-wise, how was pregnancy and motherhood wise, how was it? I often hear, especially single parents, saying that the second pregnancy or the second child, I'm a better mother now than my first child, because then I was having issues and how was your 2 pregnancies and how was you as a mother for the 2 children?
Okay, so my second pregnancy, I'd say financially, I was okay, and finances do play a role, whether we like it or not. I don't care who says what, but money is important, So financially, I was okay. Emotionally, I wasn't okay. I actually even went for counseling because it also brought memories of my first marriage, my first pregnancy. So emotionally, I was not okay, and that is because things happened in between. By the way, my kids share the same dad. So I think it was just a decision that...
Wait, who is your ex-husband?
Yeah.
Are you guys together now?
We are co-parenting.
As a mom of 2 under 5, my life can get really overwhelming. I wake up early in the morning, prepare my kids' lunch boxes, drop them off at school, and later pick them up. In between all that, I have work. Amongst other things, I am a podcaster, And on this very day, I felt a sense of gratitude. I felt like saying thank you to my production team. They've been nothing short of amazing through all the years and with each episode. So I passed by Engine to get them Brazmata coffees just to spoil them and to tell them that thank you, I see you, and keep up the good work. For your information, Engine is giving away 300 cups of Brazmata coffees at selected Engine Cafe 365 forecourts. I will list the dates and forecourts in the description box. Do check them out and let your day get better with Brazmata coffee.
I think both of us didn't want to. I only have before the second one.
Yeah,
I only had one child, which was our firstborn. He only had one child, which was
your child.
Yeah, so we both didn't want our kids to have siblings from different people.
Okay.
Yes, so we then agreed that. Actually, it was his idea from as far back as about 4 years ago. I wasn't entertaining it initially.
Yeah.
Because I really thought, no, I'm done here, But then last year when I went to see my gynae, I had a lot of gynecological problems. I've got endometriosis and adenomyosis. So he then said, for the quality of your life to improve, I'm going to have to take out your womb.
Yeah.
And I thought if he does that, then I won't have kids ever again, So my ex and I then had a discussion again to say, okay, let's agree for this to happen before I take out my womb. So that is how we then had a second born.
So Khumo, 10 years, 11 years ago, you had a child with this man who was your husband then. You guys break up 10 years ago. 10 years later, you guys have another
Almost
child.
11 years later.
Almost 11 years later.
We have a second born.
So you guys are in a relationship, or it was just it's just us making this child and then we're not in a relationship?
We're not in a relationship.
And the people are going to want me to ask you how the thing happened. But if you're not comfortable, it's fine. I want to ask, did you guys have natural conception, or you guys did the IVF or whatever those things are? I've asked. If she doesn't want to answer, it's up to her, guys. I've asked.
I want to answer.
Okay, cool. I think we all got our answer.
But almost 11 years later, we've got a second born, a beautiful, beautiful son. And I think I was actually doing it for my firstborn more than anything because he's always wanted a sibling. And I thought it would only be fair. I still remember last year when I was in Thailand, I actually bought myself a ring. And then I posted on my social media that, I've just bought myself a ring since no one's son wants to buy me a ring. And then my son saw that status on my WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And then he called me with a WhatsApp call because I was in Thailand. He was back home. And he's like, Mom, what do you mean no one's son wants to buy you a ring? I don't want another dad. And I also don't want to have siblings with a different dad. So, I don't like that. Please don't, And that for me was, again, a confirmation that I don't want my son to be unhappy. And I don't want him to resent his siblings that he might have as much as he wants siblings,
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I told him that he's going to have a brother, he said to me, I actually noticed and I wanted to ask my dad, but I thought he would shout at me because the dad is very strict.
Yeah.
But it's funny how he knew that it's his dad's without me even saying anything. Maybe that's what he wanted, I don't know. But he knew that...
this is the dad to my sibling as well. Do you think, that's so deep. Like, we women, and I commend you for that, not a lot of people can actually sacrifice. You are sacrificing yourself for your children, which is, as a mom, I think that's commendable. There's some way where you have to do that. I was still speaking to the production lady, Ndivu, that if we'd separate with our husband, I think the best setting will be us staying together in the same house, but not being in a relationship. I think I would be okay with that kind of a setup. I would compromise or sacrifice that part, just so, because I know my kids love their dad and myself. So we'll try to keep that for the sake of the children. And you just did that for your son,
I had a second born with him for our son, but personally staying under one roof, it would not work. We're not really compatible.
Yeah.
I think later, as time went by, I realized that we like different things. But there are people that are not good partners, but are good parents,
Yes.
And if someone were to ask me if I regret having a second born with him,
With your ex-husband?
I'd say no, because I see on social media how women are always complaining about absent men and all these things, As much as my ex and I really had it rough, it was not, we had to work for the sake of our kids to be where we are now. It took a lot of work. We still do have the back and forth where he wouldn't agree with some of the things that I do. I wouldn't agree with some of the things that he does when it comes to parenting. That is, yes, So we disagree a lot. But I'd say we make a good team.
Yeah, a good parenting team. So it seems as if your life, you'll never be married or have another partner. Will you do that? It seems, from what you are saying and what you're telling me, it seems like it will just be your children, these two children, or another children if you have another child with the same man. And
look, marriage is beautiful.
Yeah.
I would love it, but I think my life is complicated, and I think I've gone and complicated it further by having a second born.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to relationships, when it comes to that department, at the moment, I'd say, I don't know. My focus is actually more on empowering women, helping women be financially okay, so that they don't find themselves in the same situation that I found myself in years ago, So as much as I would one day love to get married, I think my situation is complicated. And maybe if someone were to come into my life, they'd probably think, you had a second baby with this person 10 years later. What makes me sure that it won't happen again in 10 future,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Why don't you just get back with your husband, with your ex-husband? Is it because you don't make great partners? But people evolve and people change. Do you think there's no way that you guys can actually be together in the future?
I think, I don't know.
Are you in a relationship?
I'm not in a relationship.
Is he in a relationship?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. But men, one can say, and also if he was, I wouldn't have had a second born with him, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So if he is, I don't know. My kids have also not met anyone. Yeah.
So how do you co-parent? Does he come to your house? Do the kids go to his house or?
So also because I travel a lot with my business, when I travel, then I know that, the elderly one is okay, because we also live in the same area.
Oh my God. So his house is also in the same area as your house?
In the same area.
So he just comes to your house to see the kids at any time. He's got a key to your house.
He doesn't have a key to my house. He doesn't have access to my house. Every time he comes, I give him access. Like 2 weekends ago, I was in Bloemfontein for a weekend.
Yeah.
So usually when I travel, especially with the small one, I would take the small one and the nanny to my parents. But my parents are currently now in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So it was the first time I actually left them alone with the nanny.
Oh, wow.
So I just gave him access for that weekend, and he would just go and just check
them.
Yeah. So no, he doesn't have access, but he does. Yeah.
Sure. I really see you guys getting back together somewhere in the future. But yeah, I guess I don't know. Guys, please tell us what you think about Khumo's situation. But let's bring it back to business. Business-wise, if you were earning 80,000 many years ago, you must be earning more than that now.
Right now I make a double six figure.
What does that mean? Double six figure.
Over 200,000.
This is
in
a month. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money considering that my salary used to be 12,500.
Yes.
You know, yeah.
Sure. 7 years later.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm also grateful that I'm also a homeowner, you know, and it feels really good to have my own home that previously, when I remember when my husband bought his house, because he bought it when I was pregnant, and he said this is going to be a home for us. I wanted us to buy it together. I've actually always believed that for couples to be able to have homes and achieve things, they have to do it as a joint, you know.
Yeah.
But now when I do things, I do them on my own. I don't even need anyone's approval. I don't need anyone's add on to my things.
I love that.
You know, it feels really good to financially be independent and self-sufficient as a woman, you know. And I think I always say my marriage failing then was probably for my benefit, because maybe if it didn't end the way it did, I probably wouldn't have seen the need to supplement my income.
Yeah.
And I would probably be depending on my husband financially. Yeah. So I'm grateful for everything that happened.
Yeah.
And it feels good to be financially independent.
It must be good.
And not rely on anyone.
Debt free.
Yes.
Sure.
And the fact that you're not, you know, the thing with also depending on people is sometimes you worry. I mean, this person can wake up tomorrow and they can decide not to finance you anymore, you know? So I always actually say it's dangerous to rely on people.
Risky.
You know, it's very risky. In actual fact, maybe, yes, you might feel, no, mine would never do that. They'll always be here. But let's say something happens to them, you know, God remembers them and they pass on. Then what's going to happen?
Because I think as wives, we're always thinking about, what if he doesn't want me anymore? Okay. What if he actually dies?
Yes. Then what? Then what? You know? So it's very important. And I tell people that, look, while you are comfortable financially in your marriage where you are, do work on your financial independence outside this person as well, you know, because you'll never know. It's very important. Financial independence as a woman is important, and it empowers you. You know, when you have your own money, you feel empowered. So, and it also gives you the confidence because you're not worried. The other time I was having dinner with another lady and she said to me, you know, Khumo, I used to date someone and I wouldn't even be able to question them for the bad things they were doing, because I knew that if I start questioning them, they won't be paying for my rent. They might take the car they've given me. Like literally everything that I had in all the, like my clothes were financed by this person. So I had no right to question them, you know, and that is not good.
It's not a way of living.
It's not a way of living at all.
I love that. In closing, where can people find you? Because I know there are going to be people that want to know extensively exactly what you do with what, and maybe join your business if it's open for people to join. In that camera, share your social handles and your WhatsApp number.
Okay.
Business WhatsApp number.
Okay. So I do actually work with a lot of women, and I teach them how to supplement their incomes around their careers. I teach them to do what I do. And if you want to get hold of me, my number is 082 528 6683. That's a number for both WhatsApp calls and voice calls. If you are outside South Africa, the number is +27 82 528 6683. I do work with a lot of women outside the country as well. My social media handles on Instagram and on Facebook, my names are Elizabeth Khumo Mwase. Both accounts are verified. And on TikTok, I am Khumo Mwase. So it's Khumo01 on TikTok. So you can find me on those handles, and you are more than welcome to contact me if you would also like to supplement your income around your existing career and commitments. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much, Khumo. Thank you so much, guys. This is another plug. You don't need education. I'm talking about those that are saying, "Oh, I don't have metric. I don't have." This is a business that you can potentially also be a part of. And yeah, get in contact with Khumo and start your side hustle or your main hustle. Thank you so much, Khumo. And everyone at home, please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. It's bye from me. Bye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.